Hey guys, so this is a video that I decided to make on how to deal with a partner. I know I've seen a lot of people who like to play with friends, especially with the new dynamic queue that's out. But a lot of things that a lot of times what happens is people misplay and they don't quite know what to do, know how to communicate, know how to take advantage of that two-person team. And in this particular game, me and one of my buddies, Thunderclap, we've played together, and we've been playing video games since we were 15, 16 together for the last 10 years or so. And so, I mean, we have a lot of experience in that regard and a lot of experience communicating. And because of that, I think we have a lot that we can show you, a lot that we can um, give advice on. Anyway, if you hear any baby noises in the background, I'm holding my little girl right now, and so you're just gonna have to deal with the cuteness. So in this start, I've already been talking to Malzahar at the beginning of the game. I asked him, what he started, like which one of his abilities that he starts with. I asked Tarek in chat if he could come and give me a little stun, and I noticed at the start of the game that there's an Evelyn, and so I asked my buddy as well to go and ward his Evelyn's blue. That way I can have a good idea of where she's going to start, where she's going to be. About this time in the game, I was talking to him. I said, hey, remember, Evelyn's probably going to come gank one of these lanes pretty soon here. I warned him of the matchup with the J4 knockup and a possible Eve gank. But then right here, Evelyn shows top. And so I kind of pan up there, but I don't catch both flashes. Luckily, Kale lets me know that both flashes are gone. Anyway, as you can see, I start here on Earth Scuttle, but then I change because I know that Eve is most likely going to try to do one more camp before she backs, and sure enough, I find her here for an easy kill. Now, this is just one thing that comes with experience, but knowing where the enemy jungler is and knowing tendencies of junglers is so important to be able to counter gank. I knew she was going to get greedy, I knew she was going to stick around. And so, right after that, I am talking to my mid laner and I'm saying, hey, listen, she's going to head over to her blue right now, so if you can push in the lane, I'm going to go and gank her blue. And he says, okay, fine. So he starts pushing. Meanwhile, sure enough, Eve was at her blue. Ends up being an easy kill. And right afterwards, he mentions right here, hey, J4's heading over. Sure enough, there's the ward. He rotates over just in case I need his help. And it's another easy kill on Evelyn. It's through this communication that Malzahar and I are able to dictate how to counter gank Evelyn and how to get an advantage over her during this time. So right here I kind of do a risky play, but one of the reasons I choose to do it is because I know Tarek has a hard stun and Jin has a hard stun as well. I actually got lucky here, as you noticed, as I put down my box, Alistar headbutted my box instead of me, making it that I didn't get forced into tower there. Anyway, as you can see in the first 6.5 minutes of this game, I had 2 kills on their jungler and 1 kill assist spot. And the question is, how did I get that success? Where did that come from? And mostly it came through communication. This whole time, me and Malzahar are talking about what to do. We're talking about their jungler, where she is, what we can do to gank her, what we can do to kill her, and just knowing her tendencies, what she's going to do as a jungler, what's the most important things for jungler. Anyway, at this point now, I am paying attention to my gold, and I know that I almost have enough for my warriors off my first back, so I'm paying attention to that as I'm farming in the jungle. Meanwhile, Malz is going around and he sees that Eve is at Rift Scuttler, so he says that to me in chat, and I make sure to type it in so the rest of the team knows. And then here, you notice I pick up blue smite instead of red smite, and I don't often do that. I typically override smite on Shaco because of the dueling potential. But I was talking to my buddy and I said, hey, I'm getting blue smite, particularly and specifically because Evelyn has such a advantage in her speed capabilities that I want to be able to counter that speed when she is able to use her ability to break snares and roots and stuff like that. And so talking about your items, letting you know the decisions you're making in the game is so critical to success, with your teammates. So as we move into mid-game here, me and Malzahar start talking about more specific things. As you noticed, I typed in the chat that Ignite was burned mid. That was through him communicating to me about what summoners are burned and me typing into chat. Right now we're talking about how Jin and Tark, the double stun, how the effect it's having in that lane and what a good effect it's having. He was telling me about how corrupting quotient on J4 is kind of pain to deal with. Right here you see how he checks the bush. He said in chat, hey, there might be a pink here, let me check it. We're talking about those very little things that make a difference. Then right here I ask him, hey, is your ult up? Yes, it is. And it makes for a real simple gank because I have warriors already, and so I can kill them real fast. And so as you can see, we're talking about a bunch of little things, a lot of small things, inconsequential, but they add up over time. And that's the key about playing with a duo partner is as you're playing with them, you have this option, this chance for an advantage in the game. And the advantage is that you have two people who can pay attention to what the enemy team is doing as opposed to just one person. And then that information is relayed across two people. And so two people are getting twice the amount of information they normally would have. And so at this point, you notice I got mobile boots. And I talked in chat to my buddy. I was like, hey, I'm getting mobile boots because I've been ganking a lot. It's been successful. I think that's going to be better than attack speed or some other item. So at this point we start to get into the mid game, and they actually had a really strong mid game power spike. I made a couple plays that were kind of questionable as well, and it led to a couple unnecessary deaths and them getting a minor comeback into the game. So as you see here, I just got their blue buff. I had been paying attention because I'd got it before, and so I knew that it was going to come up pretty soon. And then I'm able to easily gank bot because Malzahar had let me know, hey, we'd seen Kale had died top to Evelyn, and we're able to pay attention to that. That teleport by Darius is actually really well, cuts off Jin, kills him. And then, as you see right here, Evelyn kills me. And so, through a number of plays, they're able to pick up some kills and kind of catch up in the game a little bit. So I just want to point out two things here. First is the amount of communication and the type of communication taking place between me and Malzahar. And second is the focus I have on item build this game. So first off, Malz and I have been talking about matchups. We've been talking about item builds. We've been talking about summoner spells. We've been talking about power spikes. We've been talking about the positive things about what our teammates are doing, and we've also talked about some of the negative things that they're doing. But mostly we've been focusing just on how we can utilize that positive aspect. And right here, Malzahar comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, I bet we can cheese Evelyn here." And sure enough, Evelyn comes. We're able to get a kill. But in all of these instances and cases, as Malzahar and I are talking, we're getting information and sharing it with each other that we normally wouldn't have, and then we're spreading that information on a very toned down level to our teammates. It's not everything we're saying; it's only the most important things. Such as summoner spells and items and different things like that. And then that second thing I wanted to talk about was my particular item build. As you can see, I've been focusing throughout the game on specific things that I need to be successful. I've been focusing on, that boost of mobility buy. I focused on getting my warrior enchant in time. I focused on, later on you'll see that I focus on a couple other things. But throughout it all, there's this active process taking place. It's not passive. I'm not building to a certain, style, a certain way. I'm making sure that I'm adapting to the flow of the game, and I'm adapting to what needs to happen. So right here, I asked Malzahar to come help me with blue buff. He had already seen it. He communicated, "Hey, I'm coming over," but I misguessed Evelyn's damage. She was able to kill me real quickly, and I guess taken advantage because of that. So at this point I skipped ahead to after my death, I just gotten blue buff and a couple other uh, jungle farm. Anyway, so at this point we're focusing on the next objective, which is Dragon. And my original plan was, because even though they had got the vision there, they thought it was safe. And that's actually, I was going to use it as an advantage. Because they had vision going in the front, they wouldn't know I was there. However, Jin comes around and kind of ruins everything and causes them to get Dragon. Evelyn's able to come and take me low, even though we were able to get a couple kills out of it. But in the end, they have the bigger advantage drawn from this fight. But during this fight, we're still communicating. We're talking about who to focus, who to go on, and what the priority targets are. In that particular case, obviously it was Kog'Maw, and then trying to go on J4. However, I believe we didn't realize it at the time, but I think he has a QSS, so he's able to get out of Tariq's stun there and then take advantage of that fight. So after this fight goes down, we're talking to each other. We're talking about what went wrong, what went right. And it's clear to us that that team fight went poorly. However, we know why we lost it. Jin got blown up. Jin has a lot of the kills. He has a lot of the damage. Without Jin, it was a 3v4 essentially. Even though we were able to take Evelyn out, I was low, and so I wasn't able to fully utilize the items and farm I had, and we weren't too worried about that. And so I want to talk a little bit now about transitioning into the late game. So at this point, we're transitioning to the late game. We are moving out of kind of those mid-game skirmishes, and hopefully going to be doing more coordinated attacks. As you can see, I was done a lot. They actually they got an advantage right there. Evelyn, she came around the corner and she had a little sight stone or whatever, or the sight vision that is granted from smiting raptors. Because I'd placed a ward there, it procced, and then she was able to have vision of me when I went invisible, and J4 was able to ult me, which is just some poor luck right there. But anyway, how do you transition into the late game? What objectives do you focus on? What plan of attack do you do? What item build are you trying to focus on? Like, these are all things that are important to consider and to think about when you're transitioning. When particularly in team fights, who do you focus? What's your priority? And so I'm going to go through some of those. So objective-wise, obviously, you want to be focusing on taking down towers. You want to be focusing on Baron. You want to be focusing on dragons if you already have a high advantage on them. Kills and gold aren't as big a priority because you already have quite a few items. Sure, you can get a couple more, but it's not as important. The point of late game is to begin to take those advantages that you got in the early and mid game and apply them to your overall win. The next thing I mentioned was plan of attack. Now, in plan of attack, what that means is how are you going to take those objectives? Now, as a Shaco player, I have learned that one of the best things that I can do is split push. That's Shaco excels extremely well at split pushing, and it's because of his item build. He goes Warrior, Mobo Boots, Hydra, and Static Shiv. That is the core build for a Shaco split push player, and I like to focus on getting that because you can easily build people up. You have some really high speed due to the mobile boots as well as Static Shiv, granting the movement speed passive for building out of Zeal, and so you're able to move real quickly. You're able to push really well with Static Shiv and Hydra, and overall it's a super great power spike that happens for Shaco players. And so going into that, at this point in the game I noticed that Evelyn was actually building AD, and I don't remember if I had said it already or if I was going to say it pretty soon here, but this gave us a huge advantage. That meant they were 5 AD. This puts them at a huge disadvantage because now I don't have to build any sort of magic resist at all in order to be effective against them, and so that plays into some of my later builds. Anyway, so we lost this team fight. My team got caught out. I was able to pick up, I think, a double kill here. Kind of salvaged the situation. But at this point, I have my power spike. I finally have my power spike. I got my 3 items, and I know that with this, I can now be able to start that plan of attack. I can start focusing on split pushing and the advantages that come through having this particular item build. And so the next thing I want to talk about, the last thing on that list, was priority focus. Now in this game, looking at who's fed and who's doing damage, obviously Evelyn's doing pretty good damage right now. As Tark mentioned earlier in the game, she had like 70 games played or something already this season on Evelyn. So she was an experienced player. However, Shaco is so good late game at killing squishies. And it's one thing that people don't understand. So right here, I had seen that Kog'Maw went close to a ward, and I instantly was able to do him. You saw that damage. That's 3 items. That's it. 3 items that I'm able to 100 to 0 him. Super easy. And then we're able to effectively do our split push. If you notice, the second that we start pushing up, look at what mid's doing right now. They are pushing up. While we were starting to push up earlier, they were moving backwards. They were baiting their team into bad positioning, and we're able to snowball this entire game from that one play right there, from the kill on Kog'Maw and then the split push strategy. One thing I see a lot, I split push all the time. It's one of my favorite strategies in solo queue because it's so simple if correctly done, and if you have the right kind of mindset and team coordination to do so. Now the key of split pushing is, while one side is pushing up, the other side is trying to get the enemy team to focus on them. And so if I am the split pusher and I have 2 or 3 people on me, then I am trying to get and take care of their attention as long as possible. The key to making it work, though, is my team has to be actively doing something at that time. They have to be pushing. If they're not pushing while the team is engaged on me, then my split push is going poorly, it's not working, it's going to end up being a fail. On the flip side, if I don't have anyone in my lane or just one person and I'm trying to push, but my teammates aren't engaging the enemy team, then, or at least trying to prevent them from doing anything, then we're at a disadvantage there as well. And so it takes a lot of coordination. It's hard to do in solo queue, but when it works really well, as you saw, and we're able to blow this game out of proportion. We're able to take it all the way to the end here. And you notice I build a little armor at the end. It doesn't really matter as much because the game's about to end right here anyway. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it gave you some ideas on how to communicate, the important steps involved in that, and as well as some late game strategies and some mid game strategies. Like the video and subscribe if you'd like to see more of these. My nights are hard, so play me baby like an old guitar. Hit me honey like a beat up drum, all the way till your hands go numb.